Hey folks, BC here, and you're tuning in to So I Went on a Deuce and a Half, Part 5 I believe, and we're going to go for a little tour around the interior of a Deuce and a Half. Okay, first thing is first, we have the door handle. Now you push it up to open it up, and when you're inside, you can pull it down to lock it where the exterior door handle doesn't do anything. There's no keys to get into a Deuce and a Half, it's just open, or you can lock it and have to crawl in through the window or something. Also, there is a roll down window. There you go. And just from my personal experience, maybe it's just me, do not leave the windows rolled down in a Deuce overnight. You're almost guaranteed to have a cat pee inside. I don't know why, but every single time for me, cat pee inside. Here's the view of a Deuce and a Half once you're actually about to climb in. Here's your emergency brake right next to the driver's seat. You adjust tension of the emergency brake cable by twisting this in and out, and once you got that adjusted is where it holds the Deuce and a Half in place when parked. Then when you're ready to drive, you just move this thing all the way down the floor. Let's see, we have your clutch pedal. The clutch on a Deuce is not very hard at all, not very stiff. It's actually about equal to a normal F-150 or F-250, what I find. Your brake, and there's your gas. Same thing as any other vehicle out there. Let's see, this one happens to have the spring seat. It's got a big spring underneath, and there's a knob here that you can adjust tension, but I've adjusted it all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and I find no difference, so I don't know. And here's an eye level view of the Deuce. We got your seat belt here, it's just a lap belt, and over here you have the buckle up for safety sign, as well as the danger hearing protection needed or required sign. You can actually buy those individually and put them on for complete restoration projects, but those are what came with the vehicle. Now let's climb in. Here we have an eye view from the driver's seat. Here you got your big old steering wheel, got your horn. It is very loud. And we come over here and try to be as steady as possible because I hate really shaky cams. And we have your engine stop switch here. You push it in when you're ready to get her started, and when you're done, when you want to shut the engine off, you pull it closed. Here's the throttle adjustment here. That is mostly used just for the winch, or when it's a really cold day and you want to pull it out just a little bit, it'll pull the throttle open just a tad and help it warm up a little faster while you're out checking your tires and whatnot. This turns on the main electrical power to everything, including the fuel pump. You'll hear it here kick on. I don't know if you can hear that or not. And basically that will turns on all the power except for the lights. Here are the lights, and you have several different options. You have to pull this little switch down here first to get anything moving. That won't move at all until you do that. And then you move them all the way over, and that basically turns on your headlights, your interior lights, your turn signals, your emergency flashers, all of that good stuff. If you drive around with that right there, you don't even have brake lights. Completely blackout. And going down to the pedals here, we have your clutch, your brake, and your throttle. And for the lower end air conditioning, you have this little kick button. That opens up a big flap I showed on the, I believe, second or third video, how you open up that, and that gets a lot of airflow down here. And let's see, oh, the door closing, gets the wind. Okay, now let's take a look at the instrumentation here. First of all, right here we have the fuel. It's always going to show empty unless the engine is running. We have the speedo here, and the odometer showing 58,000 miles. Let's see, it shows the over terrain high speed at about 15. Over speed on the highway about 55. That's a little bit high for my taste, but an engine can technically do it. There's a tachometer there. Also has an hours of about 2,000 hours, shade over 2,000 hours. And it used to be in a danger overspeed for the engine, stopping at about 2,500. That got scratched off down to about 3,000. I don't know if that means anything or not. Maybe somebody can tell me about that one. We have over here the temperature gauge. Operates just like a normal temperature gauge. Nothing different about it at all. Let's see. We go down here to the battery generator. It actually has a generator on here, not an alternator. It's a 24-volt system. Come in here with the air tanks, it normally sits at 120 psi. Right now it has dropped down about 90. That one right there, that three-quarter mark is 90 psi. Been sitting here for a couple of hours, so it's drained down just a little bit on its own. Here we have the oil pressure. Get over here a little better for you to see that. We have oil pressure, and it's normally going to sit about 30 when you're normally driving around. When you're at high-speed highway driving, that might tick a little bit closer to 45. And when you're sitting there idling at a stop sign for a while, or stoplight, it may drop, almost down to 15, and that's completely normal, not a big deal. This is the light for high beams. Let me turn on the lights real quick and you'll see it. Boop, there we go. High beams are on. Got your knob down here, and I can turn them off. Now let's drop down to the heating system. Here we have, this actually is just a cable driven pull out there, and that actually opens up a flap that allows air to flow through the heater core I showed on my first video, or my second video actually, and allows heat to come in through the bottom of the dash. Now if I want to, I can pull this open as well, turn it locks in. You unlock it and you pull it out. That transfers some of that heat up into the windshield area, and it works horribly. It's a very poor defroster. Next is the heater blower motor switch, low and high. Basically, do you want a little heat or a little bit more heat? You're never going to get a lot of heat, trust me. And right next to that is my actuator to turn the front axles on into drive. I have them on right now because I'm up on a farm. So if I want to turn them off, and that rush of air just release the actual front drive coupling. So then I'm just a rear-wheel drive Deuce and a half now. And all the way over here, right underneath the steering column, you have the start button. You push it. This is actually a push to start button. There's no keys for a Deuce and a half. And you have the air filter indicator right there to tell you whether or not your air filter is clogged. And here's a quick view of your shifters. You have your normal 5-speed right here. Shifts just like a normal 5-speed, it's just in a completely different configuration. And you have your low to high transfer case selector. Right now it's in high. You want to put it in low. There you go, that's in low gear. And that pretty much puts first gear to a near crawl. And one final tidbit about the actual dash instrumentation is if you go down here, there's an unmarked knob. This has a pneumatic setup for the windshield wipers. There's an electric version too, but the pneumatic versions have just an unmarked knob right here. You turn it until the windshield wipers start moving. And they make quite a racket. And for extra ventilation, you can actually push out the front windshield. You unlock it, comes right out. And you want to actually take these little wing nuts here, tighten them down, and it'll hold against the force of the wind coming at you. And for one final thing of airflow, since this is actually a soft top, this whole thing's a soft top, not a hard top. Those are available as well. You can actually zipper this rear window down, and you can have this thing basically a huge hurricane of cool air in here. Really helps out in the summer. Well guys, that's what I have for the interior of the Deuce and a half. Go ahead and like the video if you liked it. Go ahead and subscribe because I've got a lot more coming. And next up I believe I'll be doing a correct startup procedure for a Deuce and a half. So stay tuned.